Let's start. We have got about 1 hour and I've got about 160 slides. So fasten your seatbelts and we're going to start about talking about green marketing. What is green marketing? But most important, how can you use marketing as a tool to become more successful in what you are doing? And successful is not making the most profit. Successful means planet, people, profit in balance. But you need marketing these days because you want to stand out of the crowd and to talk to people and say, hey, what I am doing, isn't it fantastic? Do you want to be my fan and do you want to buy my product or my service? So that's what my masterclass is about. 1 hour. And as you can see, I've worked for big companies with a lot of marketing skills, but not the green marketing skills. There was one company that had, well, they didn't call it green marketing skills. They had authentic marketing from the heart. In fact, what they were doing was just telling the stories, just tell what they did, and that was their marketing. And that is what my masterclass is about. Marketing has changed. It's not the old days with big billboards or campaigns on television. Green marketing is different. So let's start. Reinoud Wolff, Goed en Groen. So I saw the light some years ago when I talked to Ben & Jerry's and they inspired me and I thought, this is the direction I want to go into. Green marketing. Help companies, small startups, wooden bicycles or biological sodas or let's say Wat Mooi is called a company that sells green fashion. Rijk, a recycling company with a new business model, or the Greenery, or the World Life Fund. All kind of companies who are doing green, who are doing good and green. That's the plan about it. Okay, so I got inspired by these two guys, Ben and Jerry's, real hippies. My father and mom were not hippies, but well, I learned a lot from these guys. And the funny thing is that they give me an insight. And it's in Dutch, but I will translate it in English. The insight they gave me is, they said, Reinoud, it's not about making money. The business world always want to measure everything in spreadsheets, in money, in market shares, call it whatever you want, but they want to measure everything. And they told me, Reinoud, the most important things in life, like love, friendship, caring, you cannot measure it. And why is it that in business you cannot find anything about love, friendliness, caring? Ben & Jerry's showed us that that is possible. That is what they call people, planet, profit. But in the old days when they started their business, there was no people, planet, profit. They just started from the heart and they told me that what you're giving is what you get back. What you reap is what you sow. And that is for me what green marketing is all about. Okay. Today, the essence of marketing, it's the power of telling stories in a low-trust world. That's what it's all about. We are living in a world where we don't trust everything or anything. It's a low-trust world, and how can you be authentic that people believe what you are doing is from the heart? That is what green marketing is about, being credible. People must believe you that what you are telling is truth. It's believable, and that's why people want to be fan of your brand or your company. Because what you are doing is truth. And that's what marketing is about these days. And I've learned from books, all marketers are liars, start from a why, or how to enchant your target audience. So if you want to find more information about marketing, please read these books. Okay, that's the introduction. In the old days, I was telling you, it was an all different world. Because people were reaching out. They were trying to reach our customers and our consumers. In other words, they were trying to interrupt us. And when you walk somewhere, you find billboards, and they were shouting at us. But do you still reach your consumer these days? Times have changed. If I tell you that the average Dutch man or woman has 2,500, well, call it impacts or ads a day, and you said, no, that cannot be true. Well, imagine you're standing up, a newspaper, put on the radio. You go by bike or car, you see billboards, you see abris, you see people walking with clothes with a brand on it, with bags with a brand on it. Everywhere we find brands. If you count it, it's about 2,500 impacts you get a day. Well, you can imagine that, well, is that the amount of prickles you get when you say, well, okay, people are going to remember my brand, my company. But it's a whole different game now. You don't want to do this anymore. You want to go reach out and touch people. You want to bring in the love.
Hey there. Long time no see. Looking good.
Yeah. Let's just keep this simple. I want a divorce.
What now?
I think you heard me just fine.
Come on. This is me. What's wrong?
We don't talk anymore.
I just put down $1 million on a TV commercial just to talk to you.
Exactly. You do all the talking. I never get a chance.
Talk on our website, can't you?
Sure. If I want to say, order this product.
See?
It's not exactly a dialogue.
What about the print campaign, You can't tell me you missed the billboard in Times Square. That was like a 200-foot tall declaration of love.
You're saying you love me, but you're not behaving like you love me. It's not genuine.
I don't know. The agency said I was genuinely being funny. Genuinely being charming. They said you would love everything I did.
Could you keep your voice down? You're not doing a radio commercial. Look, whether you're funny or not, it's just, I've changed, and you haven't. I mean, we don't even hang out in the same places anymore. You're not even listening, are you?
Coupons. You want coupons, don't you? Look, come by the store. I got 2 words for you. Loyalty, reduction. Am I right? That was it, wasn't it? Let's just hug.
If you knew me, you'd know I don't care about that.
Know you? Sweetheart, I know everything about you. You're 28 to 34. Your online interests include music, movies, and laser hair removal. You have a modest but dependable disposable income. Am I the only one not getting the problem here?
I'm out of here.
Oh, come on. Don't be like that. Look, I'll tell you what. Come back here tomorrow. I'll give you the chance to win a Bahamas vacation. There's a small chance, minuscule, but technically still a chance. Why don't it be like the old days?
Yeah, like the old days. Times have changed. And that's a big opportunity if you're starting your new business. Because with these tactics, you need a lot of money to be in billboards, coupons, Bahama vacations. But those times have been, well, in the past. Nowadays, it's about spreading the love. And as a small company, a startup, you have a lot of love because people trust you more than a big brand these days. So use that opportunity. But how? Okay, I will come back to that later. Change is ahead. We're moving from an experience economy to the economy of meaning. An economy of meaning, that means we've been experiencing a lot the last couple of years, but we've been there, we've seen it, we've done it, but what's next? And next is that we start asking questions. Why are we doing all the things we are doing? And with that, it means relevance is becoming more higher on the agenda. And that's why sustainability is coming high on the agenda. And people say, well, every couple of 10, 20 years, sustainability is on the agenda. Well, now times have really changed because our Mother Earth is crying out loud. We are facing the end of all our, well, let's call it, how do you call it, the grondstoffen, the resource, I'm sorry, yeah, the resource. So there is really an end at sight now. We have to change. Okay, so consumerism as we know it is on its way out. We do not spend that much anymore. We say, well, this is past. If you talk to people, you know, a screwdriver, electric screwdrivers, if you talk to men, they've got 3 or 4 in their garage. And if you ask them how many times do you use it in a year, they say, well, once or twice. So they've got 3 electric screwdrivers for once or twice to use it. That is consumerism. That's on its way back. We're facing a new era. So buy more shit or we are all fucked. That's out. Excuse me for my language. Okay. So we're not working for buying and consuming and to die. We're asking questions. Why are we here? Why are we doing the things we are doing? Relevance is becoming more and more important. And we are looking for a new balance for people, planet, and profit.
that make the rich richer and the poor poorer and squeeze the middle class.
Bankers gambled billions of our money to make personal fortunes.
Including antisocial behavior orders.
Total line for the new game system, and that's when the chaos broke out.
Our forests are under threat. Human activity is now threatening to clear the 39% of natural forests.
Russia is making a very bold move, planting its flag on the Arctic seafloor.
It's 25% of the world's oil and gas reserve.
$1 billion bonuses to they're not after money. They have all the money they need. They're after power.
Risk. Because you make money by taking risk.
We know it's a scam.
Tonight in the Bernard Madoff $50 billion Ponzi scheme.
Why we're picking up the bill in a global greed game.
Monday morning, all hell broke loose because the free market, as it stood, was about to collapse.
For those who think it can't happen here.
What happened to all that money? It's gone. It's gone.
This is the story of the biggest financial...
We're seeing basically Western civilization get flushed down the toilet bowl.
Alaska is facing an ecological disaster.
The first large-scale hunt of the protected species in 4 decades.
We are filling up that thin shell of atmosphere with pollution.
The consequences are bad and will be catastrophic unless we act and start giving.
So things are changing.
Yes, we can.
And thank you all for turning the Free Hugs campaign into what it has become, a truly global movement.
Tree planting provides one conservation solution.
Because of you, we can make these guys the promise that their suffering has ended forever.
The issue of women's rights and equality.
35% less CO2 than a similar sized car.
We finance ecological buildings, we finance windmills, we finance cultural projects.
Having made his fortune, he's about to embark on the next stage of his career, giving it away.
No, well, we do a lot of work in Africa trying to get medicine out to the difficult villages to reach.
Ben and I built Ben & Jerry's on the idea that business has a responsibility to give back to the community.
Okay, so the inspiration that Ben & Jerry's gave me, I would give to you as well. If you're starting your own company, what are you going to give back to community? That's one of a question. Keep it in mind. And still some people say, well, sustainability, it's a trick. It's a marketing trick. It will go away. And how is it that people say that? Because everybody is going green these days, isn't it? And where does it go wrong? It goes wrong in communication. Yes, the marketing guys have a responsibility in this. We communicate, perhaps not always authentic. Yeah? Volkswagen is saying, well, we have got a car recycling drop box, claiming that all the cars can be recycled. This company, a big company, says, well, turn lights into flights. Yeah? We save on one stake, and the other stake, we inspire people to go out flying, you know? Not in balance. Or this guy saying, well, go green in a Hummer. Greenwashing, that's what you must not do if you talk marketing. Be careful, there are 7 marketing sins. The sin of the hidden trade-off, suggesting a product is green based on a single attribute. You know, 7-Up claiming to be green by saying, well, and they're putting the can into a tree and claiming they are all natural, you know. A can isn't natural, so they're missing there something. The sin of no proof, making claims about performances without sound independent verification. We all know these brands, you know. Is it proven? Well, sometimes someone comes up, yeah, it's proven, but a small part is proven. It's never clear. If you find out on the internet, well, there have been some lawsuits, and sometimes they lose a lawsuit and say, well, okay, it's true, marketing was more the case than the product. You know, that's greenwashing. And the sin of vagueness. You know, how many people say, well, this is not toxic. Yeah, of course it's non-toxic. It's not allowed to be toxic, so it's not relevant to make that claim. Or Irrelevance, you know, people saying no safe sex anymore. Well, that's been 10 years ago being forbidden. And this lady claiming a couple of years ago saying, well, these lollipops, no fats in it. Yeah, not relevant. It was about the sugars for children, you know. All these kinds of greenwashing, be careful, be careful. Less of two evils, you know, being less bad or being really good. That's what the oil companies are telling us, you know, saying, well, let's build a better energy future. Well, that's less bad, you know, it's never going to be good with the oil companies. And sin of fibbing, a misleading lie about a product, you know, freshly picked gum. We all feel it's not freshly picked, so be careful, and be careful with using labels, you know. What I show here are good labels, don't get me wrong, but there are so many labels these days. Is it becoming low trust as well, you know? A label doesn't say that much anymore. Be careful saying, well, I use a label to tell my story and to make my proposition more authentic. Be careful with labels. Because old marketing is about the value of promotions, green marketing is about promoting values. That's something different. Start talking about your values. And that's why I say a low trust world. With this old marketing, with greenwashing, people don't trust us anymore. But what can we do that make our target audience trust us again? We must reach out and touch. We must add the word touch. Because they are authentic. The moment that your story becomes reach out and touching, you will become authentic. So let's talk about that a little bit more. Why is touch, feeling so important in marketing? Because a long time we thought that if we talk to people on the left brain side, we hoped that people would buy our products. So I was telling you, my car has a beautiful steering wheel, it has great gas mileage, it has beautiful wheels, beautiful colors, etc., etc. And we hoped that people would buy our car. We found out that people don't buy our car because of that reason. We found out that if we add feelings, we talk to people to the part of the brain that will activate buying behavior. We need something from people. Buy me, vote for me, do something for me. You don't reach that by talking to the left brain side. You must talk to the right brain side. Okay, that's quite new in marketing country. We are discovering that. Okay, let's go further on that. Storytelling. You start a new company, you start creating something, a product, a service, and you go out and tell people that you are here. So you start telling stories. Why are you here? Or you're going to tell a story that spread, or you will become irrelevant. So many people, so many companies. What makes you special? Why does your product or company stand out of the crowd? So be clever and make a story that will spread. People will talk about your product, your service. That's the secret behind marketing these days. And otherwise you'll become irrelevant. You'll become lost somewhere in the blur of so many messages. And the fact is, so what do you talk about? Well, remember, people can't handle the truth. Facts are irrelevant. Think of that part of the brain. You have to add feelings to things. So don't go into the facts saying, my clothes are really good designed and I have the best designers working on it and it's made by the most, well, it's a sustainable way. That's all facts, facts, facts. People don't want to hear facts. People want to hear something different. People want to hear, what do you believe? Why are you making this product? Why are you designing this? Provide people the story they want to believe. That's something different. But in the end, people are like a little bit the same, you know. People are not that different, we think. Because a lot of people share the same values. A lot of people share the same beliefs. And a worldview that binds all these beliefs. So you talk about segmentation, talk about choosing a target audience. Think of a worldview that is shared by this target audience. So think in values and beliefs that people have and say, I'm going to aim for that. I'll talk to that later. And a worldview is not who you are, it's what you believe. What do believe people? What is a big, well, let's say, what do 100,000 people in the Netherlands believe? That could be my target audience. What do people share? In the Netherlands, we've got a big target audience called the cultural creatives. And it's about 1.6 million people. And these people have a sustainable lifestyle. Should be your target audience. And they share the same values and beliefs. And they are rooted in the modern society. They are worried about the planet and are willing to live a sustainable lifestyle. And they do not necessarily reject materialism or commercialization, but they do reject mass consumption because they do know that that is not good for our planet. This is a quite important target audience, and it's about 10% already in the Netherlands. And that means that we're facing a tipping point because this target audience is growing, and it means that much more people will go out and buy sustainable products. So that's very important to know. Okay, and Art already meant this word, framing. The moment that you have selected a target audience that has some beliefs or shared values, you must frame it. You must frame your product or your service. And frames are elements of a story painted to leverage the worldview a consumer already has. So it's our words, images, even interactions that reinforce what you believe. And what do I mean with framing? Framing is this. Who remembers Obama? Everybody does. Who remembers Hillary? Well, but if I ask, what did Hillary stand for? Well, it's becoming a little difficult. And if you say, what did Obama stand for? Well, he had a belief. He wanted to change America. He had a belief that if we change, it will be a better America. Hillary had a plan. 12 steps how to improve healthcare in the United States. That was a plan. Obama had a belief. And a lot of people shared that belief. And he framed it with, yes, we can. That was a tactic. So let's go to Ben & Jerry's, my inspirators. They had a worldview, save the world. A lot of people share this view. A lot of people also don't share this view, but a lot of people do. And they framed it with peace, love, and ice cream. So they said, we have peace, love, and ice cream. That's how we frame our belief in making this world a better place. As a marketer, you go out, you spread the word, you tell your story about saving the world by framing it with peace, love, and ice cream. And then you go out in everything you do and everything you make, you use peace, love, and ice cream. That's framing it. So if you're starting your own company, start with your worldview. Start, what is your belief? How am I going to tell it? How am I going to share it with people that they know how I believe and what do I believe? And then you frame it with a logo, with slippers, with everything you can come up with. But that's how you tell your story. Frame your story, this is how it is called. And we framed it on this way. Everywhere it was peace, love, and ice cream. And we even had a small event, a little Woodstock. And there's also this is framing the peace, love, and ice cream story. Everything we did it like this. And this is called marketing. This is not billboards or commercials on television. This is nothing like that. This is telling a story in a different way by choosing a worldview and framing it, well, with colors, text, and everything. Okay, and we made one commercial.
Ben & Jerry's en Warchild zijn al 10 jaar vrienden.
Wat is geluk? Waar hoop je op? Waar droom je van? Wat doe jij voor de mensheid?
Deel het Peace, Love and Ice Cream gevoel. En word ook vrienden met Warchild. Check Peace, Love and Ice.
In English, she is asking people, what do you think that love is? What do you think that happiness is? Etc., etc. And then we're saying in the end, well, we are proud to have a partner and we're partnering with Warchild. And, well, that's how we frame peace, love, and ice cream. We're not talking about the product here. We're not saying buy our product or saying our product tastes the best or nothing like that. We are just telling people about our beliefs. And a lot of people recognize it and become fan of Ben & Jerry's. Okay, so come up with a story. What is your story? What is your promise to fulfill the wishes of a person's worldview? That's the question. And framing, well, Ben & Jerry's had a good frame, but what are frames? Well, you can choose the frame, demonstrate and lead. That's what Toyota is doing. You know, they are choosing a frame by saying, well, we are a leader in sustainable and electric cars. And this is a perfect frame by a sheikh who's thinking, well, I might be out of business because Toyota is choosing to go electric, you know, and hybrid. That's framing. You can also be choosing to frame your story by teaching. Well, what did we do with Ben & Jerry's? We had the Climate Change College. The first insight was we want to recruit youngsters who will become climate change fighters or ambassadors and become successful. Well, Art is a perfect example of this. He joined this Climate Change College. But it's also framing. With the Climate Change College, we tell people what we do believe, that we want to make this world a better place. And by framing it with a Climate Change College, by teaching, people will say, well, these Ben & Jerry's guys, this is what they do. And I believe what they are doing is also my belief. I'm going to buy this product. It's a completely different way of marketing, but it worked and it's working. What is a Climate Change College?
Traveling for more than 10 years in the Arctic region, it's to me very clear that the planet is changing due to global warming. And that's exactly why, together with WWF and Ben & Jerry's, we have started the Climate Change College.
This is a bit mind-blowing, isn't it?
We're offering young people the chance to become climate change ambassadors. Part of the training will be a scientific expedition on the Greenland ice cap.
Being able to go home with the experiences I've learnt out here has just given me the inspiration and the dedication to take my own campaign to a higher level as possible, and I'm hoping to inspire the people of Britain to call for action, really.
The 6 of us have had a totally amazing time, so give it a go.
We're looking for young people to come and campaign and help bring the message about combating global warming. Please join us.
Is this marketing, or is this telling your story, showing people what you are doing, where you believe in? I think the last thing is what this is it. What this is. Okay, another part is partnering to enforce credibility. I already mentioned that be careful with it, but it can be a way to tell your story about sustainability. Verkade is doing it. We're working together with Fair Trade, for example. A lot of people are using this third-party verification tactic to frame their story. Chiquita is doing it with the Rainforest Alliance, for example. And good causes and charity, it's done a lot because it's the quite easiest way to do it. You just choose a good cause or a charity and you work together. One company that does it really authentic is, for example, Innocent. You know, with tree planting, but also with the big knit. These are ways to make your story credible and frame your story by saying, hey, I'm a company that cares. Okay, next. Brands and companies should start the conversation and tell their story. That's what I'm telling you. Because people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Hey, it's reach out and touch. Of course, you have to go out and say, here I am and who you are. But then you have to have a message that touches people. Okay, how do you do that? Companies need to talk about their purpose. That's the new buzzword in marketing society. A purpose. In the old days, people had a mission. These days, you have to have a purpose, a higher goal. And what is a higher goal? Well, this guy, he came up on TEDx 2 years ago as well. And he explained that a lot of companies have a what. A lot of companies know how they do it. But only a few companies know, why am I doing the things I'm doing? And I worked for a big company called Unilever. And they had a lot of brands. And if you talk to people there, say, okay, I know what you're doing. You're selling peanut butter. And I know how you make it in a factory and perfect. But why do you sell peanut butter? They didn't have a clue. They started about the salary and they started about the mortgage and things like that. But that's not the passion, you know. If you talk to people who work for Ben & Jerry's, they said, yeah, I want to help out and save the world. I think it's great what you are doing. That's what you want to achieve. The moment that you talk about why you do it, you get passion into the game. And why is not the profit. Let that be clear. Why is the result? Why is about the reason you get out of bed in the morning. That is the why. So if you start a company, and if it's green fashion, or you say, well, I'm going to be a sustainable architecture, why do you do it? And is that clear to the people you want to do business with? Is your belief clear enough? Are you telling the good story? Do you have a good frame? Is it clear enough? And you should start from the why, and then you think how I'm going to do it and what am I going to do. But start from your why. Start from your passion in everything you do. Because people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. Think of the brains again. If you want to reach out and touch people, talk to the right side of their brain. Because then you can expect something from them, to buy a product or to use your service or to vote for you or something like that. But you have to inspire people. And you don't do it with explaining what you do, you have to explain why you do it. If you start talking about what you believe, you will attract those who believe what you believe. That's quite simple, isn't it? Simplified, if you make it in circles, you got the why, it's your purpose, then you talk about your how, and then your what. Because people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People bought Ben & Jerry's because they wanted to save the world. That's why people bought Ben & Jerry's. Compared to my colleague, for example, working on Ola Ice, why the Ola Ice? He didn't have a good story. Now they are reviewing their story and say, okay, we want to be the ice cream for the children. And they are getting rid of all the artificial coloring and taste, etc. So they are on the right direction again. But they were lost. They didn't have a why. And passion and purpose go hand in hand. When you discover your purpose, you will normally find it's something you're tremendously passionate about. This Simek on his film on TEDx, he gave an example of Apple. And he say, Apple starts from the why. In everything they do, they want to challenge the status quo. And they think different in everything they do. And how do they do it? Well, they make perfect design and friendly to use. And what do they make? Mwah, not important. iTVs, iPhones, MacBooks, it doesn't matter. You want to buy Apple because you're a fan of the belief that Apple says, be different, think different, challenge the status quo. A lot of people buy for that reason Apple. And the funny thing is that, is it Samsung, yeah, with his tablet, is going out now and saying, well, we've got 10 points in which we are much better than the iPad number 3. People don't care. People buy Apple because of the why, not the what. Okay, examples. Patagonia started from the why. The Body Shop started from the why. Innocent started from the why. Ben & Jerry's also started from the why. And these are brands who have authentic stories and people believe these brands in a low trust world. But there's more behind purpose and why. Number 3, if you start your own business, you want to go into marketing, you must understand that people are driven by desires. What does that mean? Well, that means that the human being is driven by desires and moved by emotion. And a lot of brands always talk about, well, I want to add emotion. I want to add experience. I want to add something. Well, don't add emotions, don't add experience, add desires. Because that's what drives us. Because that's the reason why we get out of bed every morning. Something inside us drives us. That's desires. And there was one guy who learned from Freud, and he knew that there's something with subconsciousness in the human being. And he learned that if you get people to desire things instead of things they need, they will show some different behavior. For example, a car. If you say, I need a car to get me from A to B, well, you buy a car and you can use a car for, let's say, 20 to 30 years. But the moment that you get people desire a car, let's say what BMW does, people want a car every 3 years. And they want to have a big car because it's status to drive a BMW. So if you get people to desire things, they show a different buying behavior. Okay, that's interesting, isn't it? So I had product, the how, the what, and the why. You can also think in product, emotions, desires. Where desires is the core, you can reach people and touch them. And that's the part of neuromarketing. It's quite hot. It's quite diverse because we cannot look into the brain, but we're learning and learning. And we see things that what is happening into the brain if we talk to them and we make them feel things. Okay. And what can we learn then? We are starting up with our business, with our brand. We are small, we are new. But what can we learn from the successful big brands? Well, you can see they are using desires with different tactics. They're using PR stunts, they're connecting celebrities to products, advertising products, and connecting products to images. And PR stunts. Remember, Marco Borsato is launching his CD at 12 o'clock at a certain store, or the Apple store is opening on Sunday, and people are in line because they have the desire to be the first. No, that's a stunt. And what do we do with celebrities? Well, we say what a lovely, tasteful coffee this is. This is because why George Clooney is involved, you know. The desire to do what the people we admire are doing is the glue that keeps our society together. It's a secret ingredient. People want to be successful as well. People have desires. And that's why always celebrities is always working with products. And images. This is how cigarettes became popular in America, you know. The woman rights movement. And they showed us women with cigarettes. And that were the liberated women. And then more women want to become liberated and they start smoking. Because that's what the marketeers of the cigarette industry did. And this is how we sell cars to men. Quite simple, you know, but it's still working. This is how you sell a car to a man. Because a man is driven by desires, okay, you cannot resist that. You don't want to hear it, you think, is it that easy? I'm sorry, it's that easy. And is it only in biology or philosophy? No, it's also in religion. You know, Buddhism recognizes 3 kinds of desires. A desire for sensory desires, you know, the best taste. For example, like Godiva chocolate is using that tactic. But there's also something like desires for being. I want to be somebody or be something. PlayStation is using it. PlayStation never talks about the what or the how. How many gigabytes are in PlayStation? I don't know. Never talk about it. They always talk about desires. People want to become a hero, for example.
For years I've lived a double life. In the day I do my job, I ride the bus, roll up my sleeves with the hoi polloi. But at night, I live a life of exhilaration.
Of missed heartbeats and adrenaline.
And, if the truth be known,
a life of dubious virtue.
I won't deny I've been engaged in violence, even indulged in it.
I've maimed and killed adversaries, and not merely in self-defense.
I've exhibited disregard for life, limb and property.
And savoured every moment.
You may not think it to look at me,
but I have commanded armies
and conquered worlds.
And though in achieving these things,
I have set morality aside,
I have no regrets.
For though I've led a double life, at least I can say
I've lived.
Is dus dat PlayStation, what I want to say with PlayStation is that they don't go into details about the product. They say, okay, if I want to make people to move, if I want to change buying behavior, I must touch them by putting on a button desires. That's what PlayStation is doing. So I'm not saying that you must do it, but I'm showing you the tactics that successful companies are using. And there's also the desire for not being. That's the world of cigarettes, or smoking, or drugs and alcohol. People want to forget. People want to step out of things and release the pain. Okay, all kind of desires. And what's Nike doing? What's Nike selling? Nike is not selling the best shoes or whatever. Nike is selling us air. With Nike, we fly higher. People want to fly higher. People want to be successful. That's what Nike is selling us. Nike is not telling stories about their what or their how. They're telling stories about desires. And they use a celebrity and they explain us it's not about the shoes.
It's not about the shoes. It's about knowing where you're going, not forgetting where you started. It's about having the courage to fail, not breaking when you're broken, taking everything you've been given and making something better. It's about work before glory. And what's inside of you is doing what they say you can't. It's not about the shoes. It's about what you do in them. It's about being who you were born to be.
So be careful thinking that talking about your product will make you successful. I'm not saying it cannot make you successful, but do understand that people are driven by desires and that you can use that tactic like other brands are doing. Red Bull is not selling their drink. Red Bull is selling need for speed. Red Bull is selling the desires we have to win from gravity. And they're framing it with their Red Bull, with their speed. They're putting their logo on all the extreme sports we can find. And that's how they frame their story and the worldview that people share. A lot of people need speed, want to have energy, want to make progress, want to be really, really fast. A lot of people don't. They choose a nice walk in the park. But a lot of people recognize this belief of Red Bull, and that's why they choose for Red Bull. And what is Coca-Cola selling us? Happiness, the happiness factory. They choose a desire as well. And what is La Mer selling us? They're selling us beauty, not the product. And what is Marlboro selling us in the old days? Freedom. Marlboro Country, the man and his horse, the cowboy. All these brands seldom talk about their quality of the product or their benefits. They are temporary and universal because they do not compete in the category on product level with emotions. They compete on desires. Think of it. Don't forget the desires. But remember, quality should be, of course, acceptable. It's a dissatisfier. Okay, green marketing is not making normal things green. Green marketing is making green things normal. So I always tell to people, if you are doing something with a green product or a sustainable product, don't forget to use the normal tactics and the marketing lessons. Otherwise, you will not spread the word. You will not stand out of the crowd. So if you have to compete and you have to fight against an old world, use their tactics as well. But you have an edge because you are authentic. You are from the heart. You have a why. And old marketing is about manipulation and green marketing is about inspiration. Because people ask me, but Reinoud, if I use desires, am I not manipulating? And I always say, well, in the old days, the Greek teacher was a status symbol. But we made, well, something, a bad choice. The marketeers did, you can blame them, because they put status symbols on the wrong products. You know, the teacher should still be a status symbol, I think, but the BMW has become a status symbol. So that is where it went wrong. But if you have a product that is sustainable, well, you can say from the heart that you can use a desire to promote your product. But you should do the right desires with the right products. Because remember, you cannot ignore that people have beliefs and people are driven by desires. So if you don't recognize that, well, I think you don't get the picture. And Ben & Jerry's did it on that way. They added save the world, they framed it, and that was a perfect success story. Tesla is using the desire about speed as well, and about successful and status as well. But it's becoming a green car, so I think it's positive. That is a good reason to buy this car instead of another car. Go electric, drive quickly, treat lightly. They are using also the modern marketing laws with a, well, quite sustainable product. Okay, recap, green marketing tips. Green marketing is not making normal things green, that's greenwashing. Green marketing is making green things normal. Okay, and reach out and touch. Start from the why and purpose the moment you start storytelling. Start talking about your new product, your new service, or your business, or your brand. And don't forget adding desires, because people are driven by desires. And start the conversation, if it's online or offline, it doesn't matter. Online offers big opportunities, of course. Social media is about talking to people, is about having conversations. So being part of that conversation could make your brand very successful. But always start conversation on the why and add desires. And create a worldview and frame it. And do it with passion and inspiration. That's the most important lesson. And simplified, you can say, okay, if I must write down a marketing plan, for example, for the competition, think in the why. What is your purpose? What's your higher goal? What do you want to achieve? Why are you doing the things you're doing? What's your belief? Okay, of course there's a how, of course there's a what. But remember, people buy why you do it. And remember that the human being is driven by desires. Then you have a simple model, is okay, if I use this, I have a brilliant marketing strategy in which I can really go out there and compete against all the products or new products. And this is what I call the new conversation domain. This is where you start storytelling. And remember, green marketing is all about credibility. Greenwashing isn't, but green marketing is. And it's quite simple. Be good from the heart, with love, and go out and tell about it. And then you will find people who believe what you are believing. And then you will become successful. And is it easy? No, it's not easy, but nothing is easy. But if you try from the heart, you will become successful.
You ready? Yep, let's do it, Jeff. It's not easy being green. Spend each day on the run from the besiege. This hasn't panned out like the others, orange or yellow or rose. Why can't this one turn out like that? It's not easy being green. Try to blend in with the others in the mob. Plainclothes police will run you over, drag you off to Evan prison, or maybe just beat you in the street with electric batons. But green's the color of change, and green's getting madder and gutsier each day. Burning pictures of the leader, taking the masks off of our faces, posting graphic video on Facebook and YouTube. Green's such a dangerous thing to be. It can make you wonder why do it, why risk it? But I'm green and I can't change that now. Guess green's just what I'm meant to be. Not bad.
Ja, en dan, dat was het eigenlijk. En dan wil ik eigenlijk alleen meegeven dat je hebt marketeers, je hebt consumenten. Je hebt marketeers, je hebt echt fans. Zeg maar, en de groene marketeer, die heeft een ziel. En blijf daar trouw aan. Sorry, in English. You have good marketeers who have consumers. Great marketeers who have fans. And green marketeers who have a soul and never lose your soul. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Are there questions from the audience? I think the mic is over here. Yeah? Questions, yeah. Okay, I run up over to you. Where was that? Yeah, there. Okay. Yeah, maybe, but there are two only. Okay.
Thank you.
There you go. Please tell your name and.
Okay. Well, my name is Jonathan. I'm from Italy. I have two questions basically. Yeah, you were mentioning before about the fact that you need to speak to people and to activate the right part of the brain, so the side which is more perceptive basically. So the thing is that, for instance, if I would drink a Red Bull and I would be really perceptive, I think I would like puke on the floor immediately straight away, because it's not something really natural for the human body, I would say. So if I would use the perceptive part of my brain, I wouldn't like it, I would say. But I think because of the fact that I associate Red Bull with the fact that I can fly, then I start to drink it and I perceive I kind of feel that I perceive the value of the Red Bull. So the thing is, with all the marketing strategy that you explain right now, which kind of conception will a company have of the purchaser or of the consumer? I have the feeling personally that with the product, we as designers nowadays, and we probably have to do this nowadays, we should try to push people to think about what they do and to think about what they buy, more than proposing what they should or what they will buy. And I think probably the way that you explain the whole story of the marketing strategy was really efficient, but it's lacking, in my opinion, maybe I'm wrong, a sort of like future vision. What will happen in 20 years if we keep saying to customers or to client, or if you will have to keep proposing to customers or client what they should buy and why they should do it.
Okay, I think that's a good question. Okay. Reinoud?
So yeah. Actually, sorry. Well,
yeah. No, I think first, Reinoud, or do you have one?
It was just to resume the question.
Okay.
So the real question is, which kind of conception do companies have nowadays, and will this conception be the same in 20 years from now? Because I don't have this feeling, but maybe I'm really wrong or
Yeah, well, I used to work for all these big companies, and don't overestimate them, because people are sitting there and also wondering why and how and what, because they look at the figures and you know, everybody's looking like, wow, it's going down and down, and what can we think of? And if you look at what I started with, 2,500 impacts on you every day. If you, as a brand, are one of them, you get lost. You end up in the blur. So you're suggestive on, well, if everybody starts telling the truth and they're honest and talk about the product, but you have to stand out of this blur. You know, this reality. You have to face the fact that you're competing against an old world with a lot of power, with a lot of money, with one disadvantage, that they're coming from the old world. So they have lack of trust. And if you start your new business, you have one example of really reluctancy, and that you have an opportunity if you face the fact that you have trustworthy. You are honest, you are credible, because that big company, you know, that people always are a little bit about a big company. In the old days it was, well, I trust them because they are a big company. Nowadays we've seen what have become of that, and we don't trust them anymore. So I would always say, okay, go out, tell your story, but don't forget the fact how human beings are. You know, why is the Voice of Holland so popular in the Netherlands? No, because it's based on an insight that, well, I can be popular as well, perhaps, and everybody wants to be famous for 50 minutes. You know, so this is why these shows are so popular for over all the years, because they have this desire that all people share. And I feel the same as you feel. You want to be authentic. You don't want to be like them. But if you want to be successful, don't forget that these are the marketing laws you have to use, but use them in a trust, incredible way. That's what I'm trying to inspire you with. Ben & Jerry's did it until the day Unilever bought them, but that's a whole different discussion. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna make it myself a little difficult. So going to a question in the middle.
I would like to ask, how important is the name of the company?
The name of the company is not important. Your belief is important.
Okay. What's your name? What do you do?
I'm Honorata Grzynkowska. I am urban designer.
Okay. I come over to you, but I'm first giving this gentleman the opportunity to.
I come from the field of, my
What's
name's
your name?
Giancarlo Mangone. I'm doing a PhD in Delft on the performance benefits of plants. And then I do sustainable design for performance, building performance. So my question is, from the realm of architecture and buildings, marketing is a little bit different, right? It's more about networking and who you know and the companies you work with than, doing a campaign to get people to buy a house. So my question for you is, in terms of sustainable design, everyone has the same goal. Everyone has the same desire to make a better planet. But maybe I have a better experience or knowledge based on, because I'm more research-based and blah, 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 blah. So that's the difference in my story versus the typical sustainable consulting firm. But really, how do you differentiate yourself from another sustainable consulting firm in architecture to both building engineers and clients?
First, I always tell people that business to business or business to consumer, it's all the same the moment that you understand that there's a human being making a decision. So every human being is making a decision, so I have to look from that point of view. So business to business is the same as business to consumer. The moment that you talk about why and desires, then somebody will make a decision. How do things feel? But you always know some people buy on price, but some people don't buy on price. They buy on because it feels good. Some people want to work with the most status symbolic firms on architecture because you do business with a good name. So it's the same tactic again. But what the other question is, how do you differentiate? Have a good story, but frame it on a creative, different way. Because a lot of people want to save the world, and green is about saving the world. But how do you frame it? And that is where the differentiation is hidden. Ben & Jerry's choose, bijvoorbeeld, Climate Change College, or they had people like Art Velle telling their stories. That's a tactic. So be smart and clever in how you frame a better world.
Okay, we had a question over here. Is it still relevant?
No, it's not
okay. Other question? Okay, then I'm gonna run up all again.
Hi, my name is Paul van den Hof. I'm an architecture master student in Delft. And I am a little bit confused about Ben & Jerry's actually, because you're talking about being honest and stuff, but the core of what Ben & Jerry's is doing is selling ice cream all over the world and keeping it cold, putting in a lot of energy in order to get this frozen product everywhere. And I don't see how that is sustainable, actually. It's really fun that they are educating people about what sustainability is and framing their ideas on the world. But how the hell is selling ice cream? How is that true, that story?
That's a good question. So you're actually saying, do we need ice cream? Yeah.
I don't like ice cream.
You don't like ice cream. So you said get rid of ice cream. So, but in the end, it's about balancing things. We want to have sensory pleasures, as I showed you. And you can say, okay, let's find biological stuff, or just eat an apple, or etc., etc. So that's a balance you have to find in society from what do we need and what don't we need. The days that Ben & Jerry's started the ice cream was a different age. But
Yeah, but did they start from selling ice cream, or did they start from this worldview that you're talking about?
No, they just started. The story of Ben & Jerry's is that two hippies at the gymnastics, always being last and running around because they were a little bit overweighted, and that's how they bonded. And they said, "What are we going to do? Well, we both like eating delicious things, so let's start making ice cream." That's how they started. But they were hippies, and they had something in their heart saying, "But we want to do it in a different way, in a sustainable way, etc." So that's how it was born. But I cannot have an answer on your question, do we need ice cream in the world? Well,
I would like to add on that as an ambassador for this college, I think...
I'm not questioning the college.
No, that was great. I understand the question. But for me, it's like there will be ice creams in a world with 7 billion people of today. And I think in the next 20 decades, there will be ice creams in the worldview and the current society we have. So if you are making these ice creams, that's what these guys thought of, then okay, make the best ice cream ever possible. And maybe if we in 50 years live in a completely different world where we understand that we don't need ice creams and the challenges are so big that that we cannot have any ice creams anymore, okay, maybe then they start thinking about it as well. But for me personally, I think if you choose an ice cream, choose the Ben & Jerry's, and then, well, that's what their worldview is. Maybe another add on this? An add-on question? Or? Small, okay.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I'm Jeroen Visser. I'm a designer. I'm wondering, the old school marketing tactics are mostly widely known right now, especially in the people who buy green products. They know what they want and they know how the world should be, so they don't buy those old school marketing techniques anymore. So how do you go about that? How can you just reach out to an audience who just picks all the balloons that you deploy as a marketing? Just as he's telling about Ben & Jerry's, people don't buy it, that you travel. For instance, the college is a good thing, but how are you going to change the climate in the world by having a chopper and a camera crew and everybody go out to the Arctic and film? Yeah. That's not about changing the environment, it's about promoting your belief and having a marketing trick.
Yeah, so it's a little bit like the question the person before you asked me. It's always a trade-off you have to make. Eh? That's how society works these days. But the new marketing laws, of course, we are lucky that there is things like Facebook, social media, and LinkedIn, and what's all on the World Wide Web. The new way marketing works is storytelling and people spreading your story. So, and that's different by the old days where it was like sending out your message on television, on billboards, etc. That's what all the old marketing are doing. So you should go out there and have events, have a good blog, go out and make ambassadors on the internet. But that's not answering your question. I see that your body language. It's not bragging. It's why is it bragging that you say, well, for example, I'm a green fashion designer and I'm proud of what I'm making, and I want to tell somebody I'm proud of what I'm making, and perhaps it's interesting for you as well. No, that's not bragging. What the problem is that all these brands are shouting, hey, you, buy my product. That's something you say, I don't want to hear that anymore. And that's still what a lot of brands doing, eh? Buy my product. I know who you are. Buy my product. And then you get a pop-up banner in your screen. That's history. You know? But there's nothing wrong with Art telling people about a Ben & Jerry's brand and how positive he was about the brand. That's not. That's the new way. Yeah, but that is something different. If I am a fan of Ben & Jerry's because Ben & Jerry's believes the same thing as I believe, then you want to walk with Ben & Jerry's slippers because it says something about yourself as well. That's what marketing is about. If you are fond of a brand, you're walking with this brand because you want to say with this brand, it says something about myself as well. We share the same belief. So that is what marketing is about, of course. That's what branding is about.
Oh, sorry. Last question.
Yeah? Just also, because what I also listen in these stories. I'm Ingrid van der Wacht, and I work for my own company, Factory, and I work for Brainport in Design Corporation. I was wondering, I think you were talking about why do we like the Voice of Holland. I think not everybody likes the Voice of Holland. do the cultural creative, do they like the Voice of Holland? I don't know.
No, it's
Because
about 4 million people, so there are 8 million people, 12 million people not watching.
Yeah.
So you're right.
And I think these people do have different values and different desires also, I think, because old marketing is still about creating desires with people, you know, and I think the cultural creatives are maybe more aware of what are our needs. We know lots of people are obese nowadays also because there is this nice Ben & Jerry ice cream. You know, they are also selling stuff that is not really what we need. And you were talking about needs as well. So I think, what are we going to do about needs?
We don't need a television, but we have a desire to watch a program. For example, a farmer is looking for a wife. I don't know if that's the right translation. That's a whole different value. That's about there is true love in the world. And that's also 5 million people are watching that. And that's 5 million almost different people than who are watching the Voice of Holland. So there you see, that's a different worldview, true love. And we all are hoping to find true love in the world. So that's also something Desire says. And it's a different target audience, but it's a target audience that has that belief. A lot of people don't believe in true love anymore, so they don't watch farmers looking for a wife. Because they are divorced and they say true love doesn't exist. So it's an example of also popular show. Why are people watching it? It's touching our senses because of a desire we have. So that's how marketing works. Is it wrong? I don't know.
I agree, but I'm just thinking how the consumers are changing, also the people that maybe might buy these cream products right now. So maybe they do want to have still a mixed combination of storytelling, but also by persons telling stories.
Ambassadors, yep.
Communities, you know.
Yeah. But it still is the story that spreads. And from a point of view of you starting your business or your brand, what is your story? Think worldview, frame it, go out and spread the world.
I think that's a good wrap up, Reinoud. Please give him a huge applause. Thank you.